Fear is peeing your pants. Courage is doing, scary stuff with wet pants. So that takes several sessions, maybe a quarter or two, maybe a year if they're a little hesitant to be vulnerable with each other. Because if we be vulnerable, then we can't really speak the truth. And if we can't speak the truth, then again, we're working on fake issues.
Fresh insights into what it means to lead today.
We talk about fear and courage are two different things. So fear, I heard this, told this one way. I love this. So here's an ism. I don't know whose it is, but I'm stealing it. It's mine now. Fear is piss or peeing your pants. Fear is peeing your pants. Courage is doing, scary stuff with wet pants. That's what courage is. So just think about that, right? Like being fearful is wetting your pants. That like a really, really scary, we're going to be in a plane crash. It happens. Like we joke about it. It's in the movies, like in a comedic thing where the puddle just grows next to the shoe, right? The scared, the bully comes out. But the reality is, like, get next to a life and death incident, that might happen. It's on the menu. Now, what are we going to do? Go do the tough stuff with wet pants. And I don't remember who said that, but I thought that was a pretty awesome quote. So I like to share that with my teams. And they're not the same, but it's important to have the courage, because the courage is saying to the CEO, like, I get that. I get how you feel that way. And I understand how you're looking at it. Like but I see it differently. And I think your team sees it differently too. What do you think, team? And then I go first and disagree with the boss. And everyone's like, oh boy, he's challenging the CEO. But I do it in a way. I have a process, right? And I've also told the CEO, if you hire me and you're the problem, are you comfortable with me tactfully bringing that up? Like I might bring something up on a break. I might just say, hey, respectfully, let's look at some other options and we can come back to that. Now I just created an opening for the team that didn't have the courage to do that. I have the courage to do that. And then I create a space that wasn't there before. And then I facilitate. So when Mary says, well, maybe we could do a little better with this. Hey, Mary, do you have any data behind that? Yeah, it's 87% better. Hey, Mary, if I had 87%, I'd be like, boss, this is a no-brainer. Like you very gingerly put that out there. That is empirical data that's almost hard to mess with. So like, why don't we just say, excuse me, I have an alternative that provides an 87% increase. Are you interested in that? The answer would be yes. I would guess, 90, 95% of the time. But do you guys always do this? Like, there's like 3 layers of eggs on your floor. I'll say something like that. Look at all the eggshells. I guess you don't hear them when you walk, and again, you hired the business sergeant. Like not everyone's going to call people out all day long. My point is, after I've called the team out 47 times with humor, but I'm directionally correct 42 of those 47 times. Oh boy. I guess we got to get rid of all these excuses. He's heard all these excuses before, and we can't cash those checks at his bank. The bank of excuses is closed. And he says, listen, I will say something like, listen, I've seen this exact same issue. And what you're telling me is a very human thing. I totally get it. I see this all the time. Would you be interested in knowing how I helped other people get past this just by maybe looking at things a little differently or not accepting that as a reality or a fact as you all just did? When so-and-so said this, that sounded like 100%. I think that's more like a 50-50. And let me give you some context to why I think that. And then after my 5 minutes of stretching their heads, they're like, okay, maybe we can do that. Well, if I wasn't there, that was a hot stove not to be touched. But since I push back because I see things a little differently and I create an opening and someone now has the courage because they got a wingman in me, then we can get it out on the table and discuss it. And maybe we don't do anything with it. Maybe we do. So it's pretty neat to come to a session. You haven't seen the folks for 90 days And, when people show up really early to the session, because I'm a good half hour, 40 minutes before every session, that's the rules. Never been late for one of those and don't plan to be. And they come in and, hey, I just wanted to mention a few things before we get started today. I'm like, all right, there's some stuff that they need some courage. There's some fear in the room. And I'll say, well, do you want to just deal with this in the check-in, or this afternoon and when we discuss issues is fine? Or do you just want me to look for it? And thank you for bringing it to my attention. So if that pops up organically, I might say, hey, what's going on with that? And I might just ask some questions. And then sometimes we'll say, did Dave come early to tell you that? And I'll be like, yeah, he did actually. Dave, the ruse is up. Go ahead. Let's just do this conversation right here then. Or I'll start pinging and they'll be like, yeah, this is that. I'm like, and I'll dig a little deeper and I'll just use the vector they gave me, but I won't do exactly what they asked me to do, because I always understand that might be somewhat self-serving and not in the best interest of the organization. So I can't just take what people give me and approve and ram that through. But where there's smoke, there's fire. So just give me the zip code. Is it over there? Is it over there? Describe the problem. I will write it down, and if I find it, I'll do it that way, or we'll just tee it up. And I think it's important that you champion this issue, because you can't come to me privately and not participate in the issue. I will not do that. So if I'm going to write this down, I expect you to take some ownership in the discussion of the issue. So that's the deal that I make. Like, actually, I'm on thin ice with so-and-so, and I don't feel like I could say anything. And if I do, I might get fired. Then I'll say something like, listen, I've never seen anyone get fired, for the right thing. I've definitely seen some people get fired for 47 bad things right before doing the right thing. But I don't know if that's really the case. And if you're really concerned about that, that's something that I would get involved in as a coach, just to say, hey, oh, by the way, what's the rub here? Like what else is going on? It doesn't seem like the complete story. So like, that's the neat thing, when people know that you have the courage and an extra supply, a belt of it, where I can just open up my courage pouch and say, this is for you. That's how it happens in the beginning. And that's not healthy, because they should be able to do that on their own without me. But the truth is, most people, when they start an implementation, are not in that condition. So that takes several sessions, maybe a quarter or two, maybe a year, if they're a little hesitant to be vulnerable with each other. Because if we can't really be vulnerable, then we can't really speak the truth. And if we can't speak the truth, then again, we're working on fake issues, and the real ones will rear their ugly head. And then because we can't really get into that conflict. And since I'm ranting on conflict, if you don't mind, I would just talk about, we've all been taught for decades to not talk about religion and politics. Now we have a whole country that is incapable of having intelligent discussions about religion or politics, right? We're not in a good, happy place right now.